To elementary. I hope you're having a fabulous day wherever you are, snow and all. Anyhow, our first show of the new year. And so I want to say welcome. And today we're going to talk about the kids don't want your stuff. Well, I did a show on this before, a live show, a dial-in show, which I can connect you to when I post it. But I want to talk about the kids don't want your stuff because I'm doing more and more of this hard topic with my clients. And it's absolutely right. Like, we're sitting, I was sitting at this one place. One of my clients was quite upset because her kids didn't want this dining room that she paid, I don't know, $8,000 for way back in the day. It's an antique. And, they don't want the china that is probably $3,000 or to that effect. Anyhow, the kids don't want your stuff. This is the hardline truth. Kids don't want your stuff. And honestly, I think this is the part where parents are missing. Parents think, my kids don't want my stuff because they're rejecting the family memories, rejecting her. But that can't be further from the truth, right? The kids are not rejecting the memories. They're not rejecting the furniture for that reason, but they are valuing things a little differently. They're looking at their lifestyle in a different manner, So in saying that, it's always having this conversation with families, trying to make them understand, trying to make mom understand why, the daughter may not want her dining room set. And it comes down to she probably has a small condo with a small eating area or no eating area, and they use the couch or maybe a small little eating area with a small table, and they have no space for a 8-person table. And so with probably the son or the other kid, while they have a dining room, they also have kids, and it's more like a basic table, not a formal table anymore, so the kids can do their homework on it and do all of those artwork and everything else. And so a really nice table may not be suited for their home. So these are the hard conversations we're having, believe it or not. And really for some of my clients, they could be that the table is gathering memories, memories of when she hosted dinners. Now, what may be something that you've paid a fortune for, even though it may also be an antique, sometimes they end up selling for really very little. What you think you've paid $8,000 for, you may end up selling for $4,000, $1,000, or so on and so forth. So let's really talk about, where this comes from, really. So when it comes down to a dining room set, china, silverware, these are like the main items. And so, for example, my clients are like, they've invested in permanence. I've bought these items. I've lived in my house for 40 years. And, that was their dream. That was the way of showing how successful they were. The kids have lived in different places. They're not as permanent, let's say. They're a little bit more flexible. Perhaps their homes have changed a couple of times. They say the average millennial moves 8 to 12 times, while a baby boomer might be at 3 times at the same age, So it just goes to show that people are moving. It could be that they're renting, and they're trying to jump on the bandwagon of a lower rent or not getting a rent increase, or and they keep bouncing around, or who knows, I mean, where these numbers come from, but they're really, really eye-opening, really. So in the 80s, let's just say, the average home had a formal dining room that people would actually use for meals, or at least once a week, right? But today, 65% of homes don't have a formal dining room, or don't use that formal dining room as a dining room anymore. Some of them use it as playrooms, storage, home offices, because that became a common thing. And I get it. Millennials say that most of them eat dinner at the kitchen island or on the couch. And very rarely do they formally eat dinner at a table, like a whole table. Now, some people still do that. But that option has kind of eliminated for a lot of people. So that's one of the reasons. But it's just not about space and lifestyle, right? Like the generations that gone by valued heirlooms, things that lasted, quality, tradition. The generation of today values experiences. They'd rather spend their money on a trip than on a china cabinet, or than on dishes. They'll take the same money and they'd rather have photos on their phone rather than crystal in their cabinets. Nothing's wrong with that. It's just different. It's a different time. And let's be honest, these are the things that are hard to hear, right? So let me just kind of break down some of the stuff. Like, for example, what I see quite often, China. A lot of people these days are looking at microwavable dishwasher, and therefore nobody is using China. No one's spending $3,000 on China when they can get a dish set for maybe $20 or $30 or $40. Let's just say for a dinnerware set, right? A whole set for $4. And crystal glasses, for example. They probably bought their wine glasses for $2 at IKEA. And if one of them breaks, they'll just go replace it. They don't cry about it, right? And silver flatware. Honestly, let's talk silver flatware. Who even uses that anymore? And who has time to polish silver? Heavy wooden furniture too is another thing that some of them are moving so often. They don't want this heavy stuff. They want light stuff that they can, pick up and go. Formal living rooms, they're not doing that. They probably pick up a sectional that comes apart easily, where the whole family can pile up and watch movies together. So before the kids get mad at me, because I know I'm reporting on behalf of my clients, it doesn't mean the kids don't value memories. They do. They're actually, it doesn't mean they don't appreciate the memories. If you gave them pictures, old pictures, they probably would like that. Now, they don't want 26 album full of pictures, but if it was enough to fit in a shoebox that they could perhaps, rummage through from time to time, they would be totally happy with that. They just have a different way of expressing themselves. But, having said that, there are some things that kids will take. For example, if you ask them if they wanted, the grandmother's wedding ring, they'll probably say yes to that. If you ask them if they wanted some of the jewelry, they would say yes to that. And one other thing that I know that people really like is the mid-century modern stuff. That is a huge hit for for kids these days. It's huge. Now, if you actually ask, some other places what sells, like people that actually sell some of these antiques or estate sales, they would probably tell you the same, that these days, what you paid $3,000 for a China set, you'll probably get 200 for, and so on and so forth. There are still a few people that like it. Encyclopedia, remember that? Encyclopedia, those guys used to walk around selling. I remember the guys walking around trying to sell you this encyclopedia. I didn't even have kids then. But today we have Google, right? And what about those like Precious Moments and Beanie Babies? Everyone said, oh, these were going to be collector items and they have no value. Old movies like the Disney movies, the vault is going to be closed. Get your movie now. And I remember, even my daughter loving those movies, but it's just what it is, right? Like times have changed, things have gone differently. Like I said, if you had probably some mid-century modern stuff, your kid might pick up on that because they could fit it into their decor or their style, depending on what they have in mind. So having said that, I want to say, yes, don't be sad. Don't be sad when the kids are saying, I don't want your stuff. Just try to understand why they are saying this, right? It doesn't have to like become a huge blown thing for the kid, like to have this conversation. It doesn't have to be blown up and huge. It just has to be you trying to understand why they're saying no to the items, and for you not to feel sad. But I see it over and over again too. Like for me as a person, we go through so many homes and not everyone can take all of the stuff where they're going, or not all the kids have their own stuff, and trying to fit in extra pieces. They might take a little memento or something really nice, but every piece, they're not taking every piece that you've left behind. And sometimes it's okay to allow it to go so it can find a new home. And perhaps someone who's new to the country, who is desperately in need of furniture pieces, would truly, truly appreciate some of these items. So it is pretty interesting to see where things are going. With life these days, like not everyone has a big home. Not everyone can take. Some people are probably in a micro condo. So even then, but I just wanted to have this conversation because it's something that I've seen so much of, and it's almost like I have to play mediator. I don't have to play mediator. I am a mediator, but I have to just swap my and help them work through the conversations without each one feeling guilty about this conversation and it going in a really, really bad direction. And yeah, so having said that, I'll move on to a market update. And I want to talk about what's going on in the Greater Toronto area. So what do you think is happening in the market? Well, according to some, they say there's an uptick, but that doesn't mean the prices are up, right? You might see a few more homes on the market, and maybe it's after the holidays and people are ready to go. Now, some are still waiting for spring, and I will say to you, if you're waiting for spring, you're going to be a little late to the party because everybody's waiting for spring. I said that in December. I said that in December. Actually, one of my clients who is closing in a couple of days, that's exactly what happened. We said that in December, that they asked, hey, should we wait to spring? And I said, well, there's no guarantees, but from what I understand, the prices are not going to change. The prices may go down. However, waiting to spring is not going to give you any more. It's not going to give you a leg up. It's not going to help you with what you have currently. So having said that, we put the house on the market. 2 days later, it sold. So the home is going to close in a couple of days. And my client is super delighted that she got ahead of the spring market. And I'm super delighted for her too, because it's hard when you're trying to sell your home and you're looking through all these people coming through your home, and don't get me wrong, my client is like super like organized and very clean, and it was just like unbelievable, like for me to work with them on this home, because it made life so much easier. But she did exactly that. She got ahead of the market. She knew exactly the price, what she was happy with. We had that conversation in advance. I will say that she got like $50,000 more than a house that sold down the street a few days prior to hers. So she was happy that she did well. The sellers, so the buyers were really happy because, they love the house, and they absolutely are so excited to be in the house, and my client is giving them so much stuff to even get started, right? So, the market is the market, but I was just wanting to tell you this story because it just touched my heart so much. Hi, Kimberly. Hope you're doing well. Anyhow, so what else is happening in the market? All I would say is if you're looking, if you're considering selling, then you shouldn't really wait for the spring market, because I think you will be a little late to the party. If you're looking to, if you think the prices are going to go up, that's not exactly what's going to happen, right? The market, I think right now there's so much going on. Well, there's lots going on in the world. But really, I think what's going to happen is from my perspective, I think it's a great opportunity for buyers who were waiting on the sidelines for this opportunity to take advantage. Now, by no means am I saying that you should hurry up and buy it right now. Buy whatever suits your timeline. But there is no guarantees, of course. There is no guarantees. There are a lot of unfortunate situations. There are a lot of power sales that are happening too. And but those are just, things that have come where people have extended themselves too thin. Maybe they've lost jobs or so on and so forth. Having said that, I'm going to say that, you have to do what's right for you based on your situation. So giving you a blanket statement to say, hey, now is a great time to buy or now is a great time to sell is not what I'm looking to do. But if you are looking to buy or sell, you need to kind of figure out what it is you're trying to achieve. And so I will say this to you. So I wanted to share this story with you. So I was talking to this lady the other day, and I'm not sure why she even came onto my Facebook page and started chatting with me. I guess she already has a house listed, so I'm not quite sure why she was coming. So I didn't know house was listed. So obviously she starts asking me, questions. She wants me to sell her homes, and I had to be a little straightforward with her, because when I like I asked her, did she have a home to sell? And she said, yeah, her house was listed. And so first she was giving me the sad story about how like she's in such a bad situation and her life is falling apart. And honestly, like, yes, Kimberly, you're right. There's no perfect time to buy or sell. All depends on each person's financial situation. That's right. And doing a good review on that financial situation, not with blinders on. So the story I'm telling is really about this lady. So she's telling me how bad her life is. But then when I'm looking at it, I'm like, you have a paid for house. Like, and you're telling me your life is so bad. Like, how bad is it? Unless you're not telling me stuff, right? Anyhow, so long story, I start chatting with her. She wants me to like, she wants to buy something with me. Now, she hasn't even like sold a house yet. So why is she even like looking yet? So I kind of said to her, I said, it would be best if you first sold and then kind of figured out how much money you had. And then I tried to like tell her like, what did you think about? Like, what else did you think about before you placed your and she hadn't thought about anything. Like, there was no conversation. There was no, like, I don't know. From what she's telling me, I don't even think she's a candidate to sell a home. Because I don't know where she's going after she sells it. Like, she can sell it, but where are you going? Like, a house was, she paid like almost nothing for it. She's paid off. And then I kind of said to her, then maybe you should get a rental, right, for a bit until you decide. And that didn't go over well because I don't know, like, I don't know what she's going to buy when she sells. But I can't save everybody. I have to learn that. That's my 2026. Like, there's some people you can give them the information, but she has a realtor and the realtor needs to work with her. So I kind of just had to say to her, since you already have a realtor, I'm really sorry. Because I don't want to be someone who's feeding her information that's incorrect. Plus, I don't want to be unethical. So, I mean, if things don't work out, she can always have a chat with me at a later time, or ask me questions. But since she already has someone, who knows? She probably has a conversation with them already. Who knows? I mean, she's telling me she hasn't. But a lot of people tell you a lot of things, and you just have to, figure out what part of it is authentic and what part of it is like a little fluff that they're adding on. So yeah, so selling is not for everyone either, right? So if you're looking to sell, perhaps you're not ready to sell yet, and perhaps selling is not the best situation for you. Perhaps you have to look at some other ways of figuring out your situation as opposed to selling. Because like when you sell, where are you going? And that's the question that I ask so many people, like so often. Like, when you sell, this is what's available. Is this within your, because I think you have to do the reality check. Like, if I'm the realtor who's working with you, I need to show you what's within your range of, if you sold this, what would you buy? And if you're telling me you don't have work and there's no way to get extra money for a down payment to get even a smaller home, and if you don't get enough out of this house, like, what's your amount that will make you leave? And if you really haven't considered that, you have to really have those numbers, right? Like, you have to know what the cost of selling is. Like, there's a cost to selling, and then there's a cost to everything else. So, but I think it's hard when people are so into woe it's me, into this negative space. That's all they see is this negative space. And I mean, and then after that, she got a little kind of like rude with me, because she's like, oh, like, yeah, I get it. I'm not in your situation. So I'm not giving you advice on what to do. But like, she was like so down and out. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I've seen people who are in really bad situations, and yours is not half as bad, but you're making it out to be the worst in the world, right? So I think it's about New Year. It's about really kind of taking a moment to actually take a look at all the stuff you have versus all the stuff you don't have. And I think that's where people fall short. They say what you focus on expands, and if you focus on negativity, that's all you're going to get. And that's exactly what she said to me when she was talking to me. I go for job interviews and, you're supposed to be happy and I'm not. And so I guess they're not hiring her. So yeah, so what you focus on expands. And if you keep focusing on I don't have, you forget to actually look at what you do have. And sometimes what you do have is so much more than you realize. And the moment you start to, have gratitude for what you do have, the world will change around you. You'll see things in a different light. So, having said that, I'm going to say goodbye. Kimberly, I'll see you soon. We should do a show. We should have coffee. We should do something, but I'll see you soon. Thank you for joining. Bye.